What's up with it, y'all? Straight to the point, sports and entertainment. I want y'all to hit that like button. Make sure you sub to the channel too if you're not a member, and also hit the notifications so that you're able to get all of my content and all of my videos. I want to give a shout out to the entire LDBC family, Lions Den basketball community, as well as the boxing community too. In this case, we are talking hoops. Also, shouts out to brother Too Raw for TV. Go sub to all of his platforms. And then also to Ticket TV. Go sub to all of his platforms too as well. They were the first ones to talk about this right here, okay? Rasheed Wallace basically came out and said that MJ wasn't all that good of a defender, all right? Now, I have put this in both the community post, asking if you think Sheed was capping on that. And also I put it in the, I made a short and asked the same question, posed the similar question. Now, let's approach this two different ways, okay? You got the numbers, the analytical side, and then also you have the eye test, okay? I'll start with my least favorite with the analytics and the numbers. Michael Jordan, all time, and we're just going to talk about overall defense. All time, his defensive rating, I think he was ranked 28 at 102.83 according to Basketball Reference. Which is not bad considering all of the players that were in front of him, or a big portion of the players that mainly their focus and their role was to play defense, okay? And he prided himself on defense, okay, as well as being a superior scorer too as well. In defensive win shares, Michael Jordan ranks 23 all time, and that's at 64.13. That's phenomenal when you consider again who's ahead of him in terms of defensive win shares. Okay, there's not very many guys, up there. And then on top of that, he's in top 25, and you have to look at some of those players who are up there, and who really focus and prided themselves on primarily defense. You have to understand that, he had a lot of responsibility when it came to the offensive end, and then couple that with the defensive end and taking tough tasks and tough assignments, right? Another thing is, now this pertains pretty much to all around, but I throw defense in there too as well, because you just have to when you talk about value over replacement. He's number 2 all time, okay? And I know people are gonna say, "Oh, he's behind LeBron James." Okay, big deal. He's still number 2 though. And on top of that, Michael Jordan played far less seasons than LeBron James. We're talking about LeBron. He played 20 seasons, and not taking anything away from LeBron. He's number 1. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, he's number 1 in scoring. So I mean, not gonna take anything away from him, but we're talking about Michael Jordan being number 2 in value over replacement. He's still in that top 10, top 5, and top 3. Okay. Now, another thing that I like to look at too is the eye test. All right, this is what I really enjoy. Okay. We know that Michael Jordan, I think he ran like a 4.44 or something like that. He had insane speed, okay? He had insane speed and insane quickness, okay? Especially as a youth. I'm talking about when he came out of college. Some of you some of you guys that are younger, I would say between the ages of about 16 to maybe 25 or something like that, and even a little bit older than that. Some of you guys that are 35, but between the ages of like 20, I would say 23 and 35, y'all probably looked at Michael Jordan in his later years. You know, you probably looked at him, you know, when some of you guys were, you know, infants and babies or whatnot, and then you probably saw him like when he was with the Wizards and everything, and you were saying, okay, well, what's the big deal about this guy and everything, but you didn't truly see Michael Jordan as a youth. Now, you probably saw him on the internet when you dug and went into the archives and saw film on him to see how truly athletic and fast and speed and quickness and stuff like that. Well, the reason why I mention that is because one of the things that Michael Jordan was very exceptional at was playing the passing lane, okay, which is a fundamental defensive structure that they teach you when you're playing basketball. It's one of the basic fundamentals, especially as a guard or as a swingman. They always teach you to play the passing lane, okay? I think that often gets forgotten. Michael Jordan was very gifted at that, especially when you consider the end, because it takes a lot of anticipation. Now, did he gamble at times? Yeah, absolutely. You know, did he take some risk and everything? Yeah, he did. He took some risk. You know, but more often than not, he was on point when it came to playing that passing lane, and that's why he was able to accomplish being the steals leader for three seasons in a row. And we also got to take into account for his career, his entire career, he averaged 2.9 steals. Not to mention in terms of blocks too, which I'll get to in just a second. He averaged about 1.8 blocks or something like that. Now, he led the league in steals, I think it was in 1988. Then he led it in 1990 and then 93. Okay, if I'm off on the years, y'all can help me out in the comment section. But the point is he led the league in steals 3 times. Like I said about him having an average of 1.8 blocks, that is excellent for a guard. Okay. And, you know, guards weren't really seen to be, you know, shot blockers or anything like that. Only other guard that you could say that was up there with Jordan, I think, is D. Wade. And, you know, D. Wade was a pretty damn good shot blocker. Also to be his height, too, because D. Wade was only about 6'3", 6'4", you know. Now, Michael Jordan also, in terms of the accomplishments, he was first team all defense 9 times. Okay, first team all defense 9 times. Okay, NBA all defense. Also, another thing that we also got to point out too is that he was Defensive Player of the Year, okay? And he accomplished that along with being MVP, and that's in the same season. Some people don't really see that as a big deal. To me, I do see it as a remarkable accomplishment, because you being able to be an MVP as well as a Defensive Player of the Year in the same season, that shows the level of not only consistency, but the level of commitment pretty much on various parts of the floor and doing various things. When you really look at it, he can be a scorer. He can do the dirty work. He can be a rebounder if needed to be. He can be a defender if needed to be. He can be clutch when you call on him, like all the time. You know, pretty much. You know, he was that clutch player. Now, sometimes he failed, sometimes he succeeded, but more often than none, he succeeded. Okay, and then more importantly, we also got to look at the mental factor too, being able to will your team to victory from a mental side too. Talk about leadership, and that's a whole nother video right there. But that right there in itself is very, very remarkable to do that, and plus there's only a handful of players that have been able to do that. Of course, Giannis just recently had earned it, along with David Robinson and Hakeem Olajuwon. So it's only a handful of players that have been able to accomplish that. Look, another thing that we also got to understand that with Jordan too and his defense, I can remember when we talk about the playoffs and we talk about the finals. Okay, let's talk about the Portland series, right? Both Clyde Drexler and Terry Porter had both came in shooting relatively high percentages. I think Clyde Drexler was shooting, I think it was like at 48 or 49 or something like that. And I don't know how much he was shooting for three. And, you know, he was the next, seen as that next guard to Michael Jordan, the second best guard in the league. And he was averaging like 23 points per game coming into that series when they played against them in the finals. And then also Terry Porter was coming in. He was shooting from field goal range. He was at 52 and was also was lights out from a three-pointer at that time too. I think he was shooting damn near 40% or something like that. And he was averaging somewhere along the line. He didn't really average too much. I think it was like 18 or 19 or something like that, close to 20 points. Terry Porter didn't score a high amount of points or whatever because he was such a gifted point guard. Now, just to talk about this for a second, Terry Porter, when I start Isaiah Thomas all time, Terry Porter is who I really enjoyed watching. And when I say like, I think it's like my favorite to watch, it was Terry Porter, believe it or not. But I'm not talking about that. But let me get back on this right here, okay? Jordan was able to lock them down, okay? And let me tell you why. All of Clyde Drexler's numbers had dropped. I think he went from like scoring an average of like 23 or 24, something like that. And he went in the low 20s, was shooting a very low percentage. I think he had dropped at like 40%, wasn't doing that well from three-pointers. And that was because Jordan was locking him down. And then when he guarded Terry Porter too, that's the thing. And I think that's where Kobe had got a lot of MJ's competitiveness from, was the fact that Michael Jordan was guarding point guards too. And I think that often doesn't get talked about, because the thing with Kobe, even at his older age, he was trying to guard point guards, as a shooting guard, even in his 30s, and that's absurd, because usually, at that age, you got younger point guards flying up and down the court with that speed and stuff like that, fresh legs and stuff. Well, Jordan was able to put the clamps on Terry Porter too as well, and made him shoot a low percentage from three-pointer, and also his field goal percentage had dropped too as well. And Terry Porter was a great three-point shooter at that time. Okay. Then also, what doesn't get talked about either is in the 93 finals, when he played against the Phoenix Suns, and he had to guard Kevin Johnson. Well, Kevin Johnson was coming in. KJ at that time was also the top point guard too in the league too. Some people would say that he was the best at that time, and I'm not even going to argue that, because KJ was the best. Some people have made cases for him to be in the Hall of Fame too as well. KJ was that guy, man. I don't think people understand. Listen, he put the clamps on KJ a little bit in that series, and whenever KJ was facing someone else, or besides Pippen, because I didn't do the studying on Pippen. But when Jordan had put the clamps on KJ somewhat, and again, he's playing against a point guard, KJ did not shoot that well. Okay, I think his field goal percentage dropped, as well as his points and his point total, and he had trouble when it came to Jordan playing defense on him. So what we got to understand, man, when Rasheed Wallace is saying all of this, could Rasheed Wallace be saying this just to get the people riled up? Maybe so. Could it be Carolina competitiveness? Because they're both Tar Heels. They often came back there to play against Jordan in the summer, in open runs and stuff like that. It's always a tradition to do that. Could it be the competitiveness? Probably so. You never know. Or could it be just him just trying to, gain a little clout? We'll never know. But I know she really knows better than that, because look at the accomplishment that he was able to achieve. Now, MJ, a combination of MJ, Pippen, and Rodman, there was no way that, I'll put it to you like this. Well, and another thing is too, that doesn't get talked about too, is Ron Harper too, with that Bulls team. I'm talking about the second Bulls team. Ron Harper became primarily just a defender, and that's it. But people got to realize that Ron Harper, in his prime, when he was with Cleveland and when he was with the Clippers, Ron Harper, they used to say that he was going to be that guy, that Jordan, that people are talking about now. Some people called him the poor man's Michael Jordan. They called him that now when they look back and everything, because he was athletic. He could score and do all that other stuff that that Jordan was doing. Maybe not quite at that level, but he was destined to do that. But then, of course, injuries and stuff. And so, anyways, I'm getting off topic. But my point is that when you had to face the Bulls, you're talking about perimeter players and pretty much swingmen that were dominating on the defensive end during that time. Okay, when they played against Seattle, the Seattle Supersonics, that really wasn't an offensive series. Okay, that was primarily on defense, because if you go back and I always allude to this because nobody really talks about this. Jordan did not shoot very well in 3 of those games. Okay, you go back and you go look at it, he shot a very low percentage. But what he did is, since they were going to go ahead and play a more defensive game, that's what they went ahead and did. And they played the Chicago Bulls. They played on their psyche because they knew Gary Payton. You're dealing with a guy like Gary Payton. You know, you're dealing with Nate McMillan. You're dealing with, you know, guys on that squad that were, you know, defenders. And Gary Payton, I got to give it to him. He did what he could do in trying to get in Jordan's head, you know. But we don't often look at what Michael Jordan did on the defensive end either. You know, everybody just focuses on the offense. It was him, and the MVP of that series, of course, in my opinion, should have been Dennis Rodman. Okay, and Jordan saw that. Pippen saw that too as well. Okay, so those are just some examples that, you know, Michael Jordan, what makes Michael Jordan a great defender, both in his prime and in his later years. I don't really count the Wizards years, but, you know, I'm talking about for the first, even, you know, coming in before he started winning championship in the first three-peat and also in the second three-peat. So, Rasheed Wallace, just to say the least, man, you capping. I think you need to go back and go look at that film of when Jordan played, which you've already looked at, because you got that Carolina Tar Heel blood running through you and stuff, and you already know damn well that Jordan was a great defender and a tenacious defender at that. So y'all let me know what you think. Leave your comments, like the video, share it, subscribe, also hit the notifications too. Until then, straight to the point. I'll get at you later.